Good day. This is Evelyn Ackah from Ask Evelyn Ackah Immigration Lawyer podcast. And I have the pleasure today of having Daniel Devis, who is the founder and president of Immigrowth, to join us today on our podcast. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, Evelyn. It's a pleasure chatting with you. Really excited to talk to you today
Thank you
about
so much.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you so much for joining. I know that you started Immigrowth now 2019. So tell us,
Yeah,
what is Immigrowth for those who don't work with you as closely as we do here at Ackah Law?
sure, most definitely. So at Immigrowth, we are a management consultancy. We aim to provide business plans really for immigration purposes. So that's both for federal as well as for provincial nominee programs
Mhm.
to set them up for success in their immigration pathway, but also to set the applicant up for success upon landing in Canada.
That is so great. It's a great market because we don't, as lawyers, generally, we don't do that and we don't have those skills. And so we always end up referring out,
Mhm.
especially for clients coming in under entrepreneur or investor categories. But more and more, even under the intercompany transfers, some of them want help building the business plan that they will then actually implement when they arrive in Canada. What led you to this area?
Oh, long story short, it's always an organic story. A long story short, I've been throughout my experience for work for incubator, venture capital firm, also built financial models for Fortune 500 companies. So I was always intrigued about anything that involves what makes a business tick. And then obviously being an immigrant myself into Canada sparked that idea too. But
Mhm.
to kind of further give you more idea as to how it really unraveled, I was working at Deloitte as a financial consultant for a Canadian publicly listed company, and I was there for an engagement. And a fellow employee's uncle was planning to apply for the OMP pathway, which is the Ontario Entrepreneur Pathway, and they consulted people within the field to prepare them for the business concept, which is the first stage of the process. And the results weren't what they expected. So the person came to me and said, "Hey, this is a situation my family members in. Do you mind having a look?" And there it's really was interesting because I spoke to that person and it was just really to understand what he was looking for. What are they looking to do? And how do we communicate this clearly into it? And in this case, a business concept
Mhm.
that is not only meet all the key requirements, but also really articulates everything clearly what
Yeah.
this person is planning to do within Ontario. So that was for me really the eye-opening factor to really understand how the business plan space is.
Mhm.
It's a crowded space.
It is, yeah.
However, it's a matter of how can we really understand the vision of the applicant and how can we align that both with key aspects from an immigration perspective, which made me want to pursue and help people like myself or as
That's
well.
so
Being an
great.
immigrant really sparked that. Yeah.
So where are you from originally, Daniel?
So I'm born and raised in Belgium,
Yep.
so in the Flemish region of Belgium, the north. And I've lived here now in Canada for almost 3 years now. But
That's
I've also
great.
lived
Did you
in.
do your own immigration?
I did, I
Of
did,
course.
I did my own immigration, and no, it's been an extremely fun journey being here. Obviously, as a Canadian immigrant, but just to help fellow immigrants because I can definitely understand how sometimes a bureaucratic process takes time and it's
Mhm.
sometimes hard to navigate that world. Just
Yeah.
helping people with my skill set was really the key goal.
Oh, I love it. I think both of us, I mean, people love to work in areas where they're helping people, right? At the end of the day, yes, we want to run businesses, but we also at the end underlying is this core value of we want to help them be successful. You understand the immigration experience. I understand the immigration experience. How do you think a business plan helps them succeed on the immigration side? What
Sure.
additional value does that bring?
Oh, I think there's a lot of key reasons. First off, I always try to look at it from a government official point of view. So Canada just wants to really understand what the applicant intends to do.
Mhm.
And I think a key way with a business plan is just really it covers all the full outline of what the applicant intends to do, what the vision is of the applicant, and how they aim to act upon that plan. So the business plan is really an action plan for the government to assess, okay, is this person, has he done the right due diligence? Is this a person that is indeed an expert in the field within their home country potentially?
Mm.
And do they want to further continue that in Canada? But the main key goal, again, for business plans and what we aim to distinct ourselves is, and we aim to give you the analogy of of a boxer, for example. We want to be the sparring partner with people in the room. So we really see the business plan to be a continuous mutual collective process where we can go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously people that have experience within doing a business within their home country, they understand the ins and outs. And it's for us to really understand what they intend to do. We can relay what the aspects are from the Canadian market's point of view. And then we really have this collective process, how we kind of figure out to the really key core of a business plan that also helps the applicants. Because again, we want to help them from an immigration point of view, but we want to help them also once upon landing in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the key goal.
So for instance, like we get a lot of people who think they want to set up a business, but they don't run a business back home. Those aren't really ideal for you. Is that right? Like do you need to have the business experience to be successful, in getting a business plan to then come to Canada? What are your thoughts on that?
Not necessarily. So obviously the short answer to that question is it depends. It depends on certain pathways. Some programs really want to see how you can leverage your past experience the best in Canada, but that could be in a lot of different ways. So if you are a business owner in your home country, that could be a potential route, but it doesn't always have to be that case. There's people that can leverage skills being part of multi-conglomerate large companies and having made a tangible impact there.
Mm-hmm.
Equally sets them up for success. When it comes to, and again, I can talk about this for hours, Evelyn. It's when it comes to, like, some people come to us and they say, "Hey, could you tell me the right business? Could you tell me a business that works for me?" It really comes down to, and again, there's no one key success formula to telling people which business to pursue. But I think, in my opinion, it comes down to really three key things. The first key thing: what is your passion? What do you want to, when you arrive in Canada? What would you want to go up out of bed and pursue your business? The second, from my understanding, is then the experience. So if you either have experience within the field, what are skill set that makes you unique as an applicant? And every person has an incredible background in some way. Okay, it doesn't always have to be an extremely large or extremely significant way from a financial point of view, like impact or revenue that they have generated. Could be in a lot of social ways, in a lot of cultural ways. And that is, I think, the second point. And then obviously the third point comes down to resources. So resources, you intend from a financial point of view, but resources in terms of intellectual know-how, again, key things, licensing that could make you stand out or set you up for success by entering the market in Canada.
That is fabulous, Daniel. Do you help people find a business to invest in? Is that a part of Immigrowth's, area as well? Or do they have to come to you with a plan and a business already ready to buy?
Sure. So I think there's three ways how people can really start a business here. Either they start it from scratch. So when it comes to starting from scratch, we definitely, again, we can try to see people's background, really understand who they are and what they aspire to do. We definitely share some insights from a macroeconomic point of view. What are key indicators that certain industries have been growing? That is something we help our applicants with. The second route that people do as well is acquire businesses. In that sense, when it comes to acquisition of businesses, we have some business brokers, who could help them, identifying the appropriate business. But it's not something we currently do ourselves. Okay. And then the third route is franchising. So also there, they intend to start or acquire a franchise. We can put them in touch with certain franchises within the field or help them out to navigate that journey.
Oh, that's so great, because you offer a very supportive area of expertise that's separate and different from what we offer. And that's why whenever people call, I'm like, you got to call Daniel Devis. Please talk to Daniel Devis. And you can help people from all across the country, like not just in Vancouver. You can do immigration business plans all across the country, just like we do immigration federally. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. So yes, we don't necessarily focus on one area in particular. So we do, again, on a federal level, on a provincial level. A lot of work we do is also for our East Coast as well as West Coast. So there's no.
How do you stay up though, Daniel, on almost like you're becoming an immigration lawyer or an immigration consultant? How do you stay up on all the changes to the laws, to the regulations?
Oh yeah, it's a fact. So obviously it's a key thing to stay updated. Also from our perspective, the one key route is obviously follow the guideline. Once the guideline changes, that's something we definitely are actively act upon. The second key thing is talk to people who are IRCC registered, who really understand things, and also obviously our key goal is we have a lot of people we talk with from immigration perspective. Some
Sure.
it's all a matter of it's all a matter of how do we interpret the regulation and the interpret regulation, and how can we clearly navigate in setting up the applicant up for success.
That is
We do
great.
that, and then lastly, we stay up to date with news, so CIC news and other and other.
Just like lawyers do. It's a lot of daily changes and information, and it's hard sometimes to keep up. Like recently, as you know, the owner operator changed, the owner operator LMIA process, and we had the good fortune at Ackah of working with Daniel and his team at Immigrowth on bringing a lovely family from Switzerland who are now here in Canada, and it was a wonderful experience. And they got in, and then the law changed. And we were so happy they got in under the owner operator. She's already engaged us to start the permanent residence right away as soon as they're eligible. But it just shows you that it's constantly changing. So when you work with other people, we love to have the success of that file. When one door closes, are you noticing your owner operators are shutting or are not as busy because they can't get those 200 points? Are they looking at other options?
Almost definitely. So I think effectively April 1st, Evelyn, we saw that change right off the bat, but it was something that people start to anticipate and plan for. Yeah. I think a lot of people have, both applicants as well as immigration lawyers. There's definitely a key shift in focus to other federal pathways. So either then they go look at others. It doesn't mean, and again, it's not it hasn't been discontinued. No. It's still an open pathway and it's still able to apply. Yeah. However, it made everything significantly more strict for the applicant. So there's other pathways for obtaining work visa for temporary visums, work visums, such as the international mobility programs, or people tend to really shift more on a provincial focus and really start applying for those as well.
That's so great. So when you get a new client or a referral, what's your process? Explain to me, because I think something I read was like, you can do a business plan in 15 days or something. I'm like, oh my goodness, that, depending on the business, but tell me about the process from beginning to end. How does that look like?
Sure. So assuming we would have our initial call here with me. So we do initial call with the applicant or with the lawyer. Again, we work with both. So we do a call with the applicant, really want to understand who you are. Do you know, first key thing is eligibility. Have you identified the right pathway? So again, we clearly distinct ourselves in not giving any immigration or any eligibility advice. So we refer them either to immigration lawyers like yourself that can help out the applicant. So first key thing, identify the right pathway. From that point in time, we can have additional discussions about the business. What is it you anticipate to do? Which location do you aim to focus on? From that point in time, you would say, yes, okay, I know my eligibility. I have an initial idea about what type of business I'm looking to pursue. We would obviously go and commence the business plan, contractual agreement, get all the information. That information we gather either via call, like we do right now, or we send out a questionnaire where people can further articulate in what the vision is of their business and what they want us to take into consideration. And that is really the point in time where it takes us 2 to 3 weeks, so 10 to 15 business days. Wow. It takes us to provide an initial draft. So that's one point in time we deliver the draft. But often it can be quite fast. It can be really fast, dependent on aligning with the applicant.
Yeah. Wow. And are there types of businesses you're seeing more than others, Daniel, in the last year, let's say? What are the kind of more, I mean, obviously our horseshoe business was not a typical, that was really unique for us, I think. But what do you think is the most typical type of files that you see, the type of businesses?
Oh, it's you'd be surprised what type of business. It's a wide range of businesses. Really? Oh, it's significantly different. It can vary from really tech-related app development up to drone building businesses even. Wow. But I think those are more special business. Those are not that common. I think more common businesses is how people can leverage their skill sets. So for example, we had a person that had a doctor background within their home country and specifically in a certain niche. Now, the key thing, it's extremely regulated space in Canada. Yes. So how do you leverage that skill set? Then we thought about how can you provide into more consulting advice to other clinics in terms of getting know-how or to source rights machinery in this case. So we see a lot of those businesses, or we see a lot of businesses such as obviously tangible related businesses, a lot of wholesale, a lot of trade, because obviously Canada wants to wants to support trade surplus. So that means
Mhm.
imports do value added process to their manufacturing and then start exporting their goods or
Okay.
services. So
Yeah.
that is definitely a big chunk of the business plans we do. And then it comes down to more localized businesses, meaning local businesses such as coffee shops, restaurants,
Mhm.
and businesses like those. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I know in British Columbia before years ago, I'm from Vancouver, as you know, and there were a lot more entrepreneur streams to get into BC, right? And I grew up and I would see all these people coming and buying a business and getting your PR. Things have changed and gotten more narrow.
Mm.
And so I'm always interested by that in terms of how it's changing, who's coming to Canada. Are you seeing people coming from different countries? Maybe before there used to be maybe a larger Asian population in coming into the BC area because of some of the programs we had.
Right.
Where are they coming from now?
Oh, they still come from all over the
Okay.
world, from various continents, including Asia. It's
Hmm.
definitely a large chunk, but it comes like you mentioned, one from Switzerland, a lot of them from Europe are also looking at Latin America, as well
Right.
as Africa. Those are, I think, the main continents. If there's one key in particular, it's still, I think, Southeast Asia. There's still a lot of immigrants, or people that want to become investors, or I think
Mhm.
this whole COVID um, area that we currently experience, it made really people realize where do we see ourselves in the future, and
Yeah.
people that are really now saying, okay, now is the perfect time to map out into starting the immigration process. So
Yeah, we're seeing
that is
that
something we do.
too. We're seeing that too. So tell me about your team. I mean, I know you started this in 2019. How have you grown, and are you doing everything by yourself, or do you have people behind the scenes that support you?
Oh, most definitely. I wouldn't be able to do it all by myself. I got a great team behind me of five. We call ourselves the finance geeks with personality. That means we love to deep dive into the figures and really understand everything from obviously a financial point of view, but
Yeah.
also into articulating it clearly into a thorough business plan that covers all these key areas. So
Great.
we're a bunch of CPAs, CFAs, MBAs, all like having fun working on those business plans all together.
Oh my God, that sounds so exciting. I mean, what I really like about Immigrowth from compared to some of the other firms that I had dealings with before is it's not a factory. You don't feel like it's just, like there's some that you just feel like they're just throwing stuff on the wall and it's
Yeah.
just, and it doesn't create that personal experience. And I think when you operate that way with your business plan, you don't have the detail, you don't have that accuracy, you don't have the specificity. And I think it affects the success of the work we do if the business plan isn't really fine tuned. And so what I love about Immigrowth, and so far the clients we've sent your way, they've been very happy because it's personal. They don't feel like they're just a number,
No.
and that the material they get is a high quality, done by, as you said, MBA, CFAs, all those people that know the business world and they know the Canadian market. Do you provide, Daniel, any other back end support services, like for instance, when they get here? Is there anything else that continues once if they're successful?
Sure. So really the key vision, as you to kind of briefly pick up on what you just said, Evelyn, because I think it's definitely really relevant to your question, is what we aim to do. We want to make sure that we, again, setting up the candidate up for success. What does that mean to me, having done business plans, financial models? It is how do I, if the applicant, we want to make sure that the applicant really understands what planning for a business entails. Okay.
Mm,
So the key thing that we tend to do is really clear handover. So what are the key assumptions we used to calculate certain financial projections? Why did we assume a certain market entry strategy while you could do it 10,000 different ways?
mm,
We really tried to share reasoning. So we would make sure there's an additional calls that we could have, either preparation for the interview or really the handover for the financial model as well as the business plan to the applicant. So that's something we do continuously. But
mm,
also as soon as you land, to really try to understand, okay, super, how do I further navigate for certain things from a regulatory perspective, from financial planning? What are best practices in that sense?
mm.
Because we know like a plan, it's a matter of updating the plan, and a plan can become obsolete. It
Yes.
100% can. It's just a matter of how do you really understand and try to really help people take over the planning perspective to
Mhm.
set them up for success once they land, but also after they land in Canada. That's what we
So,
really aim to do.
so Daniel, do you guys provide like further referrals? Like for us, we always say find a good accountant even before they get here. Obviously, make sure they're incorporated properly, set them up, and the pieces we can do because we help with incorporation. But
Yep.
anything to do with tax planning, that goes to a specialist. Um, Do you have like a referral network for them to say, okay, now you're here, you need to have a banker, you need to have this, you need to have this, and these are people that we like and trust that we might want to check out?
At this point in time, not. No, we haven't. At this
Okay.
point in time, really, when it comes to those bank, we really try to again focus on a business plan. We want to really focus on what we do and what we do
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
But we can definitely help them how to navigate those. That's what we currently do too. What do you need to look out for in the space of immigration? Obviously, there's a lot of common pitfalls and things to verify whom you're dealing with. I think the same applies upon landing here in Canada and starting to wire over money and what are best practices related to that. We give them the information, but it's not something that we actively consult them with or provide
Same.
services.
Yeah. Okay. That's how we practice too. Do you do any startup visa work as well?
We have done startup visa
Yeah.
work, and we currently still do, but
Okay.
they're quite uncommon
Yeah.
pursuits. And again, it's a matter of obtaining that letter of support. I think a lot of people we get to want to pursue the startup visa, but I think you need to really understand what it means. I mean, I think we can definitely have this discussion if that's the route you'd like
that's
to
good.
go towards. But it's an extremely it all comes down to getting the letter of support. So that means you need to get a foot in the door. If you have a clear idea that's innovative and you know what you're setting yourself up for, because there's different types of solutions out there that promise you to get there. So we've been really picky in, so to speak, because the key goal from our perspective, we want to make sure that we're transparent to the applicant. Okay, so the applicants can tie up a lot of financial investments in pursuing an immigration program, but we also want to align incentives. Do you really understand what you're setting yourself up for? Because not all of these programs, including the startup one in particular, from my perspective, is a very niche type of program that doesn't suit a lot of candidates.
I agree completely. It's not easy at all. So give us a sense, Daniel, as we wrap up around, what are your price ranges, just generally, to, broad range, so that we know that it could be from this to this, depending on the complexity, of course, and the size and all the other variables.
Yeah, so for price range, it's pretty straightforward. So we apply quite standard pricing for all of our provincials. So obviously it depends from an immigration requirement perspective, business perspective.
Yeah.
I think on average, that's lying between 2,000 to 2,500 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
So that includes I think business plans really contain 3 core pillars. One of them, what makes you different as an applicant? What is your past background that we need to leverage in the business plan? The second is, what's your market research and how does it translate to financial projections and why are they feasible? So what they call a viable business. And then thirdly, how is this business going to generate economic benefits to the region? So those 3 key things are, I think, common really from a structure point of view that we see, and the prices lie within that, and they depend on the program.
I always tell people, I'm like, he's very reasonable. You need to increase your rates. when I've seen some of your plans, I'm always like, oh my God, there's so much goes into it. I think people need to appreciate the value of what it helps to support, because the immigration is more. But I think at the same time, this is a key partner. It's a key element of a successful application. So I'm going to tell you now to increase your rates.
I'll make a note of that, Evelyn.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for your time. And I'm so glad you could join us on the podcast for my law firm, because I wanted to make sure people understood that there are other experts that we work with as well on a regular basis that help them be successful with immigration. So you're
the pleasure is all mine.
And I really appreciate your time. And I'm looking forward to sharing this on social media and our podcast, so people know where to find Immigrowth. They are based in Vancouver, but they provide business planning services all across the country and also every province as well. And I'm assuming as well, you work with lawyers in every province as well, based on the needs of your clients. So you're building great networks across the country, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you so much.
Likewise, Evelyn. It's a pleasure working with you, and thank you for this conversation and making the information accessible for everybody whom it is of interest to. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.